Hi folks, it's time to look in on Sophie, week 8, and this is her little bin. You might remember last week I was talking about, I moved her to the bin for the first time out of her aquarium, and I ended up, this was really something that I learned. I don't know if this has ever happened to me before, but I closed the top, and when I came down in the morning, I had to close the top on these with these black deals here. I'm not sure if you're seeing that. Yeah, these flaps, and there was condensation across the whole inside. Her poor little head, her crest was all damp, and the top of her head was damp because this was closed. Condensation because it was so cold. This is Minnesota. It's like it was 20 below zero outside, and the house was just still kind of cold. So what I did was I thought, oh my goodness, that was a mistake. So I went and got the blow dryer and I blew her off. And then what I did was I ended up taking this off of the aquarium and just putting her aquarium top with the heater element like right on here. And then I've just left it like that for the past week. So now it's kind of funny because she started to perch last week, and so she will stand up on this perch in here. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, see, I got a little perch in there, and then she's been kind of like grabbing at the food a little bit just to play with it. She's not really eating it or anything. Come on, baby. Come on. Let's get you out of here. Come here. Come here, baby. What a good girl. Yes, you are. You can stand now, right? Because you're starting to perch. So let's perch on my hand. Good girl. What a good girl. Yes, you are. I mean, the one good thing about it is that if you remember, if you look at the other video, her crest was all like curly cute and whatever. So when it got damp, it totally straightened it out for her. So now she's all beautiful. And I was afraid of her catching a cold or something, and it's just like, oh, mistake, it's just like, but we caught it right away. It was just the one night. Blew her dry so she wasn't cold for too long. She was a little damp, but she wasn't damp for too long. As soon as I fixed it, and then I remedied the situation. And that's what I mean about it sometimes, folks. You just have to, you're doing your best. You go with the flow. You don't have anything written in stone. You're flexible with the needs that happen. And it was like, okay, it's just a little bit too chilly in the house, I think, for her. So I'm gonna be flexible. Put the little heat source up there, and when she needs it, she crawls under there. And if she doesn't feel like she needs it, she'll step on the perch and she'll pop her head out here, and she'll be showing, and she'll be she'll make a few squawks every once in a while. And oh, what a good girl. Mwah. Let's bring her over here. I have not fed her yet. There's Everest. Look how big Everest is getting. Everest is 3.5 weeks age difference with Everest than Sophie. And you know what's funny? They're less than 100. They're less than 100 grams apart in their weight. Everest, you giving a little bit of a hiss there going, huh? You okay, my baby? Yes, you are. Come on, boy. You okay? You're okay. Yes. Yes. So this is their. Come here, my baby. Come here. Mwah. 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 You're okay. Sure enough, Josie's got to get involved. Josie's got to get involved. Alright. Alright, so where are we? There goes my battery flashing again. Alright, let's see if we can feed somebody here. This is, like I was just saying, this is their second feeding of the day. Now this feeding, I don't really worry about packing them so full of food on this feeding because it's like 5 in the afternoon. Right now it's 5:15. And if I get like 40 grams in there, I'm good with that because then I feed them again at about midnight or what have you when I go to bed. And so if we, I mean, if they take a lot, that's fine. I'm always flexible. This is the thing. If they're not hungry, you know, folks, feeding the babies, you have to judge how much they should be eating by their weight and by their feel that they're giving you. Because this is a working together situation. Think about it like this. When I go up to them and I start to feed them, they open their throat and allow all that food to get shot down into their crop without me going into their crop and force feeding them. They are allowing me to feed them by opening their throat and swallowing that stuff all in 1 minute. And you have to remember when the parents are doing this, the parents are high projectile vomiting into their throat also. And they lock beaks, you know. That's why they get this feeding, you know, feeding bobbing, because the parents will lock beaks and then high projectile vomit food right in there. So so that's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of a thing of, if they want to be fed, they open their throat. And if they don't, believe me, you'll know it, because that food, they'll close their throat and that food will go flying everywhere because they close their throat off. So if they don't close their throat off, this is all a completely a working together and very much a team effort. So, all right. So, but Sophie should be a little bit hungry. You hungry, babe? Come on, my baby. Come on. There you go. Oh, we lost a little bit there. No big deal, but let's wipe it off while it's still, before it gets caked on there. I don't like that. I don't like dirty birds. And then, so the other thing is how big is their crop? When you're trying to judge how much do I feed, you kind of go by weight, but also how big is their crop? The crop is probably max hold about 60 or 80 grams, and so I can't really feed much more than that. So come on, babe. Okay, good boy. Well, he just took that complete 40, just no issues at all. And that's about that, you know, that he's about, his weight this morning was 467, I believe. So if he takes 46 excuse me, if he takes 46, come on, babe. All right, see, he's done. He's saying, I'm done. He closed off his, and I wasn't going shooting it in there, it was just kind of dribbling out. Come here, babe. You want anything else? Take a little bit. Come on. Up. Come on, up. Good baby. That's about, so anyways, as I was saying, like with Everest here, if he's 460, we just gave him 46 grams. That's 10% of his body weight. That is a good rule of thumb. If you have your babies and they're 300 grams, then you should be probably trying to feed them about 30 grams, about 10% per feeding. And even when they're little babies, it's still a good rule of thumb. Kind of, I mean, you have to be flexible with that. But even when they're babies and they're like 18 grams. After the first couple feedings might only be 3/4 of a gram, or oops, sorry. Or around 1 gram, like when you're on. On new hatches, you have to be careful when you first start feeding them, because their crop is only, it hasn't even been fed yet. So you really kind of go, the first couple of feedings, you're kind of going light. By the time the end of the day, you're almost after like the second or third day, you're about up to 10%. But you start off, half a milliliter, 1 milliliter, and then by the the first day, you're feeding about 8 to 10 times that day, So by the end of the day, you're almost at 2 grams. So Josie's really insistent on talking about it today. But look how beautiful Sophie's getting. She's really looking like a big girl now. Yeah, 8 weeks. 8 weeks starts to get to be kind of a mile marker. Oh my goodness, Josie. This is his time. He's got 2 times during the day usually that he goes wild like that. It's usually around 10 a.m. and around sometime between 5 and 7 p.m. He lets out his deal, and if he hears the macaws downstairs, he starts screaming back and forth to them, and if you yell at him, oh, he loves that. It's like, oh, see what we started here? Let's everybody get loud. Let's get loud! They're just like, yeah, they love that. They love that. So yelling at him, shut up, is not Well, I don't talk like that anyways. I don't tell people to shut up. I don't tell the dogs to shut up. I don't tell the birds to shut up. I just don't talk like that to people. Or animals. And I treat my animals like my friends, you know, my friends and family, you know. So they're my babies. I don't yell like that at them. Not to say I don't get annoyed with them like I do with people, but at times. But I'm pretty understanding. It's just like, look, they need me. I'm the dad here, and the dogs have to know I am the pack leader, and I have to sometimes learn, you know, how to be the right kind of pack leader, and I definitely had to learn how to be the right kind of bird. Breeder, owner, provider, and you know, to provide them with the things that they need, and try to read their body language, and look how calm Sophie is. She's really starting to grow up, and it won't be long before she's going to be. She's perching on a little piece of wood that's in her bin, but she's not perching on the side of the bin yet. So the next move is she'll be crawling up the side of that bin to where she can actually perch on the edge of it before she takes her first flight. And then once she starts flying, all bets are off, because it's okay, babe, it's okay. Then she's like, hey, I am really not limited by this. I can go wherever I want, and you can't necessarily grab me as high as I can go. So, but actually, what I do is once she gets caged, and I have talked about this in my other videos, I make a little stand with a perch on it, and then I will train them to come out of the cage on the perch, which actually helps a lot when you're around the house, because then it can be like, you know, when you want them to get, like say they flew up on the curtain rod, and you want to get them down, then I just take my little perch stand and go up to them and say, up. You know, and then because they're so used to getting on it, and you trained them, they'll hop right on it and get down off the curtain rod. So that's pretty helpful. And when I sell the babies, what I do is I put a stand like that in the little Delta carrier that I make, and then I just kind of make that as the perch for the carrier, and then you can just unscrew it from the bottom, and then you can have that for yourself, you know, to continue to use. I started to do that when I didn't know if I could really depend on people to take the time to build a little perch like that, and I really wanted them to have the benefit of using a perch like that, so I thought, well, why don't I just provide it for them, and then that way, you know, they'll have it. There won't be any excuse in not having it, you know, not using it like that. So, all right, folks. Well, you can tell I'm still a little congested. My voice and everything. And it's probably irritating to listen to someone who's got a cold to talk and stuff like that. So, but you know, it's important that we do these update videos weekly with Sophie, because we started from 3 days old, and week 1, week 2, and now we're on week 8, and I will do this until weaning time. I mean, once we get to week 12 and 14, I don't know, maybe I'll skip a couple of weeks by then, because there's virtually not any major changes happening at that point. Then it's just like, what are they eating? And right now she's not really. She did pick up a pellet, like a little orange pellet, to kind of play with it, and that's why I put the pellets kind of in there They're more like investigative toys. I have not started putting fresh like apples and corn and vegetables or squash or anything like that in there yet, because what happens is if you put it in too early, then the stuff just sits there and rots and gets soggy and stuff like that. So I try to time it. I really go based on the bird. When I see her, because she's right next to me in that bin on the counter, I will know when she's actually chewing on some food. And when I see her actually chewing on some food or cracking a peanut and actually using her beak to investigate food, then I'll know it's time to start feeding the fresh food. And then at that point, it's really imperative for me to make sure that I keep up with that every day and always provide the fresh food, because at that point, I really want to encourage the fresh food and vegetables, a little bit of fruit, not a lot of fruit. I concentrate more on vegetables because we don't really want a lot of sugar in their diet. And so at that point, it's imperative for me to concentrate on making sure that I present it every day, early every day, and even once she starts eating it, twice a day. So what I want is, instead of when I start to wean, if there's any begging, what I do is, when we start to wean, we're trying to take off the formula. So I will sometimes, usually give fresh food twice a day. So in that way, when they beg, then they know they're going to get a bowl of apples and corn on the cob or what have you. And then that's what the begging teaches them. Oh, I'm going to get some more food in my bowl. So then that way, by the time you take my babies home, you don't have to do diet conversion. You've already got a bird that's very used to eating fresh food, likes it, will eat healthy, and then you just change up your vegetables, I use, like today, the mix that I made was 2 apples, 2 mini oranges, and a spaghetti squash, and then frozen vegetables. So the majority of it is vegetables, and I do put a little bit of apples in there because that's kind of a little treat for them, right? That is a little bit of sugar, and I just make sure I don't give a full bowl of apples. I don't want them eating just that, and I always make basically make everything chunks that they could pick up with their foot, which is what they like to do. Sometimes I'll trade off the squash with sweet potato, and I always, like with the squash, I heat it up until it's soft, and I'll do the same with carrots, like fresh carrots. I'll heat them up until they're soft, and then chop them up. And the frozen vegetables, I just leave that frozen, and everybody seems to like that. They eat the corn out of it, the carrots, and everything is fine. So that's kind of what, and then I mix it up depending on what's seasonal and sometimes what can I afford, because I used to put blueberries in a lot when they were $3.69 a container, but now that they're $5.64 a container, I'm just like, I don't think we're going to do blueberries today. I mean, we all have to work together here. And then they seem to like the mustard greens and better than kale, it seems like. I'll throw kale in there, broccoli sometimes, and I kind of mix it up. Sometimes I'll chop jalapenos and throw them in there and to get some greens. But mostly I try to get, oranges and vitamin A, vitamin D type vegetables going for them. And they do really seem to like the sweet potatoes quite a bit, so that's kind of cool. Hey, what's with the noise making here, huh? Be a good girl. Be my good girl. She's not all into being petted in the back of the neck yet, that'll be a couple of weeks. Wait till she's used to venturing out and perching and like that. Everest, he's a good boy. He's just He's just interested in eating, and he's still in his separate container. But you can see he's starting to catch up in the race here, and they both will end up being caged together because they'll only be 3 weeks apart, 3.5 weeks apart. By the time she gets in a cage, when she starts flying, he'll only be a couple weeks behind, and then he'll go and I'll put him in the cage with her, and they'll be fine. They'll be fine cage mates. Guys, hey, come on, we got company. You gotta look at our company here. Did you know we got company? I suppose you didn't. Huh? Everett's pretty mellow. He's pretty good. So is Sophie. She's a good girl. Ah, come on, babe. She's actually pretty mellow. But you can see that she still gets startled at hands coming at her, when she's not eating. It's like, okay, well, what's the deal? What are we up to? I'm not really hungry, so why are you doing that? So we got to respect their space too, right? So, okay, folks, that's enough of me chatting for today. So, but I thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and also, if you do want to contact me about one of my babies, contact me via my website, atleaviary.com, or you can browse the ads on birdsnow.com or birdbreeders.com. But if you contact me on my website, atleaviary.com, you can send me an email, and then I will personally talk with you about starting a relationship with one of the babies, and a deposit, or if you get that kind of interest. Otherwise, I don't really like chit chat. I'm kind of busy, so I don't like answer all bird training questions and is this the right bird for me? I'll tell you one thing. I will never try to influence a person that this is the right bird for you. And I've said this in my videos before. I don't do that. I expect that when you get a hold of me, you know that you want a greater sulfur-crested Triton cockatoo. And that you understand cockatoos, that they're needy. They're probably the most huggable and huggable of all the parrots. They are the cuddle bunnies, and but what that means is that you have to learn how to be judicious with it. You have to learn how to be, you can't cuddle them too much to where you create a little monster screaming for attention. You have to be judicious with the time that you give them, and you can't do too much. It's better to, a little 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Break it off a couple times during the day instead of just grabbing and hugging the thing to death for 2 hours a day. And don't let your kids do that either. Teach them restraint, and why? Not because anyone's trying to tell you what to do. The thing is that take it from us who have know probably a little bit more about this in the situation, that this is for the good of the bird, because we know their tendencies and what they're liable to do. So remember that. Take the advice. Don't be afraid to take a little instruction, and of course you're going to have your own ideas and implement your own things, and not everybody has all the absolute answers, and that's true. But just remember moderation, remember middle of the road, and remember to be a little humble, take a little bit of instruction where you can, and gain understanding and wisdom from others who have battled through some of these things before you, and learn, learn by some of our mistakes, and